All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. The major purpose of this is just so we can talk about what summer is going to look like. This is obviously going to be a very different summer than in years past because right now we are not planning on any face-to-face workouts with one another. If you're brand new to cross country is a very weird sport in that a majority of the training for that sport happens before the sport is officially in season. So according to the Georgia High School Sports Association, our season starts in August, but most people have to put on lots of miles to actually be successful during the summer. And so because of that, you're allowed to do workouts in the summer. We're not going to really be able to do those right now. If something changes, obviously that will be updated. There's no timetable for when that's going to change. I believe that the Georgia High School Sports Association is having some meeting next week. So maybe we'll get more clarity on that. But right now, basically, everyone's just holding tight and trying to figure out the forecast. So basic things that I want to go through is just an overview of cross country. Since this is being shared out, a lot of you guys that are in here are not new to the sport. And so because of that, this is going to seem pretty maybe basic for you at the very beginning. And then we're going to talk about summer practices, the Summer Warrior program, how to letter, how to become a captain, and then just some fall details. It sounds like a lot, but I'll be moving relatively quickly through it all. All right, so let's first just start with how cross country works as a sport. Our team is pretty big. I like for there to be a big team, but in that being of a big team, only the top 7 runners are considered your varsity runners. These are the runners who actually get points for your team. So if you get first place, you get 1 point for your team. If you get second place, you get 2 points for your team. If you get 170th, you get 170 points for your team. The lowest score wins. So I have 2 examples down here. North Atlanta won this race. They had 46 points. Grady got second. We got third. That is pretty traditional in the rankings, except for Grady usually wins. North Atlanta got a second place finish. They got 2 points, plus 4 points, plus 12, plus 13, plus 15. The last 2 positions don't actually count towards the total score, but they do block those points from other people being able to get. That's an overview of how cross country works. Now, for our boys team, last year, our boys team, big highs. This is actually, we had an end of the year meeting, and this is what we talked about at the end of the year meeting. So I'm just going to run through it really quickly. We had great depth on the boys team. We had 14 boys that ran under 21:30. We had 8 that broke 20 minutes. And we had a massive improvement from our JV boys. Our JV boys are the 8 through 14 positions with 10 PRs in the last race. That's great. Our lows were the very, very top of our boys. Our 1 and 2 did not really improve that much. And so our needs are, we had a senior last year, Ethan Hines, who set our school record, and he is graduated. So we need to know who's going to really step up for him. We know Ethan Crosby, who's a junior, is waiting in the wings for that, but we want to know who else. We also want strong leadership and an honest dialogue about how that is. Our boys team has always lacked maybe some of the vocal leadership that our girls team has. And then because of that, our culture sometimes is inconsistent with the boys. There are some days that our boys team looks amazing. Other days we're just kind of going through the motions. And then below there, I have a list of everyone who lettered. For our girls team, our highs were the culture was super consistent. It's really, really growing strong. This year we have a really strong girls junior and senior leadership. The PRs, we had 9 PRs for the girls in the last meet, which is amazing. The lows were sometimes the girls have a hard time pushing themselves day in and day out. For our needs, we need a top end runner to replace Eleanor Finlayson. She set the school record last year. She really was kind of running alone a lot of times in the races. So we want to know like who could step up. Could it be one person like Meg? Could we have a pack start to step up? That would be awesome. And we have a big senior class this year. So what happens when all those seniors graduate? We need recruitment. And because of that, we have a competitive mental mindset that we want to start to set for some of the girls. All right, and that is who lettered for the girls. So as we said, our summer practices, we won't be practicing as a team this summer until we get clearance from the Georgia High School Association, APS, the CDC, everyone has to approve it. And there is currently a running camp that's in place from the Atlanta Track Club. It's at Young Harris College. Me and Jeff were just on a conference call with them earlier today. And so because of that, they are still hoping to have this. Obviously, it's a flux situation, but they're really excited about it. They have a lot of great things planned. Right now, it's $650. It's a week-long camp. We do still have some scholarship money available, so if that money is like a problem, let us know and we can try to help you. But it does increase on May 31st. Okay. And, oops. Jeff, I'll let you kind of take this slide if you want.
Yeah. Thanks. So we, in the past, we've always said summer is when the cross country team is built. That's when champions are made, right? You win cross country meets and you win championships in June and July, not in October and November. All right. So it's the work that you put in now that really makes a difference for your entire season going forward. So to try to incentivize that, we've created a Summer Warrior program. To those of you who have been with us for a while now, you already know the deal here. Basically, what will happen is Coach Murray and I will send out a full schedule of everything you should be doing for the next 10 weeks. That'll include all your workouts, all your miles, everything specifically tailored to each one of you. And at different points in the summer, so we'll have a midway point and end point based on the number of miles you have completed. We'll have incentives. So for the total program for the entire summer, if you've completed 200 miles on the boys' side or 175 miles on the girls' side, you'll have qualified as a Summer Warrior. I don't have a T-shirt here, but last year we had T-shirts showing that you were a Summer Warrior. We also had a donut party at the end of the summer from Revolution Donuts. This year we're instituting a halfway point. So at 75 miles by June 30th, we're going to have an ice cream party as COVID allows to, again, kind of incentivize you guys to make sure you're building those miles throughout the summer. The program that we're instituting for summer is starting next week. It'll start Monday, and then it'll end on Monday, August 10th. After that, ideally, we'll be able to meet as a team and start official practices. Some of the first meets we're looking at are middle to end of August. So ideally that still holds. In order to participate in the Summer Warrior program, you all need to have the Strava app. That's how we're tracking miles to hold everyone accountable. There's a certain amount of honesty associated with this. But at the same time, like, it's also fun to compete with your teammates and your friends. You can see what everyone is doing. So if you haven't yet, make sure you get a Strava app, join the Marion Jackson cross country group. It'll send an email and you can sign up and you can start looking at everyone's routes and times and things like that. Also, Coach Murray has been great about it last year, sending out emails and reminds with updates. This year especially, we're really going to have to make sure we keep on top of our communication. Obviously, as you guys all know, it's very difficult to make sure things run smoothly. Doing it all electronically. So we're going to try to keep in as close a touch as possible until we can actually meet as a group. For the first week of practice, so the culmination of the summer, we'll have time trials. For the boys, for all freshman boys, in order to make the team, you will be running a 1 mile time trial and have to be in 9 minutes and 12 minutes. And then all their boys and all their girls will have a 2 mile time trial. For the boys, it's going to be 18 minutes or less to make it. And for the girls, it'll be 23 minutes or less. That should be everything for summer. Oh, there's one other thing. I'm going to start probably this week putting together some video content for core work, barefoots, weights as we get into it further in the summer. I can't wait to start my second career as an online fitness instructor. So really, once we get into the summer program. I think that's all. Mary, did I miss anything?
I don't think so. And if you guys aren't excited about watching Coach Jeff do core work,
that's why I've been growing a beard out too. So
Um, one thing just to note, especially to parents, so we're very much, we want to be this great balance of a very competitive program versus an inclusive program. The reason why we do time trials for the first week of practice is not really to shoo anyone away. It's much more for safety. Since we are in the city, most of our practices are not on the campus of the school. We are practicing in Grant Park or Brownwood Park. Um, with both of those parks, you either have to cross Moreland or Boulevard, and there's only so much risk that Coach Jeff and I are willing to take. And one of those risks that we just have to be real about is if we have, it's about a mile away to Brownwood, it's about 3/4 of a mile to Grant Park. If we have kids scattered out 3/4 of a mile from the school to Grant Park, it just sets us up for too big of a liability. So we need to make sure that your student has the ability to run to those parks and back so that we can kind of stay in a tight group and we don't lose people, because losing people really sucks. All right, just real quick as added motivation, we've kind of compiled. So if you guys don't know, Coach Jeff is kind of a data savant. He records everything, like even your workouts when you're kind of throwing up or you're just done with it and you don't really feel like anyone's paying attention. He's recording that. So we have here just the record book for basically everything that we do in terms of time trials at the very beginning of the year, as well as summer miles, who's logged the most summer miles. And then we also have the school record. So just something for you guys to see as added motivation, and you can go back and kind of look at this later. I'm going to email out this PowerPoint as well.
And also, just to jump in real quick, if you guys have any questions about times from last year, because as the summer progresses, we're going to start talking about goals and things like that. So if you guys do need times from last year, you want to know what your fastest races were, where they were, just give me a heads up, and I'll be able to send that out to you guys.
All right, and this is just an example of what the summer workout program that Jeff is going to send out. That's going to kind of what it's going to look like. And this is actually, I believe this is Ethan Crosby's that Jeff has already made. So Ethan, you get a nice preview of what you're going to be doing next week. And right here, kind of at the bottom, you'll see your total miles. If you're brand new to cross country and you're like, well, I'm not signing up for something to do where I'm going to be running 30 miles like by mid-June, don't worry. We're progressing this based off of ability a little bit. So we have some runners who are really, I mean, they're trying to go for the school record. And that's just not the same goal for every single person. And we're trying to cater it pretty individualistically for each person. So these will all look different, but we just kind of wanted you to be able to see what kind of the first 3 weeks for like maybe a more elite summer workout program would look like. And that kind of takes us to the overall values of what this summer program is. There's big mantras that me and Coach Jeff really, really believe in for this to make you better. And that's those top two things. So the first thing is we don't believe that there should be a single run which should be considered what we call a hard effort. That's different than a fast effort. So a hard effort is a workout where you have to be picked up off the ground after you're done. Like you've given every single thing. It felt basically like a race for you. You gave 100%. We think that you can run fast in the summer, but if you run fast, it should be a relatively short distance. But summer is really made up a lot of slow and moderate long miles, where you should be able to converse a lot of the time, or you shouldn't be breathing as hard as you possibly can, but instead are going for a long progression in miles. And that also means that we believe really in consistency. I would love to see you guys become more consistent in your running over the summer this year. If that means that you drop down how many miles you're running each time you go run, we're okay with that. I would much rather, there's two examples right here. Somebody who runs 3 miles 6 days a week versus somebody who runs 5 miles 4 days a week. We would rather you be the 3 miles 6 days a week, where this just becomes a routine part of your day, much more than you go out, you blast it for 5 miles, but because of that, you're only running 3 to 4 times a week. We would much rather have the first example than the second example. And this ultimately brings us to the questions that the summer is going to answer, which is basically which of our juniors and seniors are going to step up this year, like every year, Coach Jeff and I have lots of conversations about who do we think is really going to be the leader, the torchbearer for the program. A lot of that times that comes from our juniors and seniors, and a lot of times we start to see that in the summer. And then which of our freshmen and sophomores are going to surprise us? Obviously, we don't really know who our freshmen are this year personally yet, but we're excited to meet them. And every year we have a freshman that comes out and just really shows up and all of a sudden makes top 7. And we want to know who that's going to be. And a lot of times that comes from who's doing the summer miles seriously. And then we always have some freshmen who we think are going to become superstar sophomores and they kind of drop off. But we usually also have freshman surprises who maybe they were just part of running club their freshman year, and then all of a sudden their sophomore year they go off and they're pushing for varsity. I can think of lots of examples like that last year. And so we're excited to see how those questions are going to be answered. And that really comes from your summer miles.
And I'm going to hop in one more thing, John,
Yeah.
on the consistency. Think of this also, and my philosophy and what I've been training you guys for the last 4 years or so, is that consistency to exactly what Coach Murray said, those miles per week going on. But the other thing is season after season and staying healthy. If you cannot stay healthy and you can't stitch together healthy seasons, you're not able to build on that capability. So just like Coach Murray said, if you're going to err on the side of anything, err on the side of easier and more caution. Okay? We want to make sure that you get through the summer healthy and strong, because if you get hurt during the summer, it'll set the tone for your entire season.
Yeah. And I've really just personally, I've experienced that this year. I struggled with injuries a lot in 2019 and 18 because I wasn't really running consistently. So when I got healthy again, I decided to start running more consistently. So I've been running about 6 days a week for the past, year. And I've noticed my times dropping really, even though my workouts, I don't feel like are that much more difficult. It's just that I'm able to run more consistently and I'm not getting hurt constantly. So if you hate getting hurt, actually run more consistently. You'll start to see that those things kind of counteract a lot of times. All right. So really quickly, there's a lot of information here, but this is our region. Now we left the old region. Well, we didn't, makes it sound like we had a choice. The state made new regions for us. So we have 7 teams in our region now, as opposed to 8 that we used to have, but there was one school that basically didn't have an athletic program, so it didn't really matter. Some of them are still from the old region, so Grady, North Springs, Lithia Springs, and then we have some new ones, Chapel Hill, New Manchester, and Villa Rica. And this is how they did at their region this past year. This is how they did at state. And then this is how many seniors they are returning. And then same thing at the bottom for girls. So region, state, and then how many they are returning. And so you can just kind of start to see where we stand. For girls, we seem to be in a relatively good position. But honestly, with how big our senior class is for girls, we really want the goals for girls this year to be incredibly individual about getting the best performance out of you that we possibly can, and really seeing if we can make noise at state. We definitely feel like we were robbed at state last year. For just a little painful reminder, North Springs actually went to state over us, even though our region average time was less than theirs. It's just a weird quirk of cross-country scoring sometimes. So we want to be able to beat North Springs. If I'm just being honest, I want to beat North Springs. And that should really be kind of what we're looking at. Why North Springs beat the girls is because their top 2 were better than our top girl. So we want our top 2 to be as good as these top 2. For boys, we're on the outside looking in a little bit. New Manchester is losing a lot of their top people, but we also lost our top person. And then the top 3 are very competitive people. So if you want to make it to state, it's going to be in the summer miles of how we're going to make it to state. All right, let's get into the semantics really quickly of just how the season's going to work. So dues are going to be $60 this year. They were $50 last year, I think. They might have been $55. I can't really remember. We're increasing it a little bit, mainly because we're buying watches this year. not to call anybody out, because basically we could call almost everybody out and not having enough watches. So we're buying watches this year so that people can have them at practice, because apparently keeping time when you're running a time distance is an important thing. This will also include your cross-country t-shirt, as well as any individual entrance fees, as well as any other celebrations that we can do that will cover the dues. The dues are going to be due in August, whenever we come back to school. For lettering, we liked how we did lettering last year. It's very simple, and we're going to keep it the same. So girls, if you run 24 minutes or less in any race this year, you letter. For boys, if you run 20 minutes or less, then you letter. The only thing that would take away that letter would be if there was some type of practice issue, such as mainly if you quit. So let's say we have a guy who runs a blazing fast speed in the first race and then quits the team halfway through or something like that, he would not get the letter. For captains are going to be chosen at the end of this summer. They will create and enforce a lot of the rules and culture of the team. We really see them as an extension of us. There are some days where we're going to have 40 or 50 kids out at practice, and it might just be me or it might just be Coach Jeff. And the captains are really going to be the people who are going to be running the workouts. To be a captain, you have to be on the team for at least one season. So if you were a freshman, you couldn't be a captain. Maybe you were somebody who transferred over from another school, they couldn't be a captain. You have to do at least 130 miles in the summer. And then we're also really looking for people who want to be leaders. So people who are willing to hold themselves to high accountability and hold others to high accountability.
And
right.
Again, to piggyback off of Coach Murray with our team leaders and our captains, there's often times when there's 40 people at a practice, and we really rely on those captains to be our lieutenants sometimes. So we're really relying on you to help us run practices and in times when we need your help. That doesn't mean you're doing less from an activity standpoint, but you're really setting the tone for the rest of the team.
Yeah, so for practices are set up where we have two different groups. So we have running club, and then we have what's called JV varsity. So JV varsity, these are the people, they go to every single meet, and they practice Monday through Friday. Running club is for people who practice Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So it'd be these blocks. And these are people who are new to running. So a lot of times if you're in running club, your goal is probably to be able to run a 5K without stopping. Again, we really want to try to include everyone, regardless of ability. We've had people who have gone from running club to like being great runners, and running's become passionate. I will always shout out Harrison at this point. Harrison was in running club his freshman year. Between his freshman and sophomore year, he ran 230 miles over the summer. And then last year he was knocking on the door to varsity. So it's a great introduction to running. And you can obviously go from running club to JV or varsity, but sometimes if you go from getting off the couch and you haven't really run a lot to running 5 days a week, that's asking for potentially an injury. This allows for you to kind of ease into it, get to understand what cross country is, and dabble into it. I put a practice schedule up here. I have no idea what our practice schedule is really going to look like with anything. This is kind of what we did last year. And the days will probably stay the same. So running club won't meet on Mondays or Fridays. But in terms of times, we're messing around with a lot of different things regarding that right now. So this is all flexible. All right, I'll take this one, and then Jeff, I'm gonna have you do the last couple. So for our team culture, what Jeff and I really, really believe in, what makes a good team, is we want people who want to be there. Ability does not really matter to us nearly as much as your passion to want to be there. If you don't want to be there, this is an extracurricular sport. And if you're doing this for somebody else, there are a lot of extracurricular activities that you can do that will be not nearly as painful as this. We want people who want to get better, and we want to develop you. And that starts with you wanting to be here. We want to develop people, not just runners. So we want to give you leadership positions. We want to give you stakes in the team. And we want to be able to develop all that. We're big into setting goals. We want to be competitive. We want to race. We want to win. And we believe in setting goals and trying to achieve those goals. And then finally, and this is probably the thing I'm most proud of with our cross-country team, is we want a community that makes everyone feel like they're connected, no matter what your background is, who you are, where you come from, things like that. Maynard Jackson, if you're being introduced to it for the first time, maybe this year, Maynard Jackson is a place where there's lots of different groups of people who do not usually interact with one another. They're pods. We really want this team to be able to gel together and really create a community that really invites people into it, and to where you really feel belonged. Because of that, we need recruitment. I could go and ask everyone to join cross country, and I do. I talk to people about cross country a lot, but ultimately you guys, you students, are the best recruiters. And so because of that, I've made quick elevator pitches for you, to where if you're trying to recruit somebody, how do you recruit them? Because sometimes recruiting somebody to go run 90 degree heat, miles and miles and miles, may not seem like the most fun. And so because of that, you have to kind of think about who you're recruiting to. So if you're recruiting to an introvert, cross country is one of the best sports for introverts, because it's this individual team sport. It is a team sport. You're definitely a part of a team. We win as a team, we lose it as a team, but ultimately you're running by yourself. And in practice, things like that, it can be as individual as you want it to be. To extroverts, we have a really tight community. People joke around and hang out after practice. The girls go out to dinner sometimes. Boys, we'll work on that. And there's a tight community that you can really build up. We're still growing. Really, Jeff became a coach for cross country 5 years ago, and we kind of consider that the start of cross country at our school. So we're only a 5-year-old program, and so because of that, you can have a big impact and a strong leadership here. It's relatively cheap when it comes to sports. We have the cheapest dues of any sports team at Maynard Jackson. So if you want low opportunity cost to join, there you go. We can build you up in skills that you can have for the rest of your life. You can be a lifelong runner, but not only that, learning the mental fortitude that you have to continue to run is something you can use a lot in life. It's the only sport that I promise, if you just do it more often, you get better at it. There's lots of sports where you could play it all the time and you're just not going to get any better than it. But running is one thing. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And then finally, there's guaranteed playing time. Everyone gets to run. So it's not like you have to sit on the bench and wait for the coach to put you in. Everyone gets to run. So go recruit people. All right, Jeff, I'll let you take the last couple.
Okay. Let me see what you got in here. Okay, so this slide specifically, Coach Murray and I have talked about this a lot. We have really put a lot of time and effort, and we love doing this. So it's very important to us that we defend people being here. What we found in the past several years is that there are other sports who will start practices early, will start practices late, will kind of intrude into our season. And it really does hurt what we're trying to accomplish. Other sports will not really put up with it. Really, it puts a chip on our shoulder a little bit. So we really want to let everyone know that if you're going to try to do other sports during cross country, if you're going to try to leave early for basketball during the fall, if you're trying to do swim practices and leaving the season early, we're really gonna push back on that this year, because we need our full season for us, and that's what's going to make us better as a team. That's what's going to make us better as individuals. To have people have to drop out of the cross country season and start giving time to, say, swimming or basketball 2 weeks before the end of the season, I mean, that's one of the most critical times for us. So really what it shows is that our sport is not taking the precedent. And what we really ask is that if you're coming out to cross country, that you give us your time. We don't, like Coach Murray has said, we don't need you guys to be star athletes. We don't need you to be super fast, anything like that. We want you to be present. That's what's most important to us. So that being said, we will defend our schedule pretty hard this year. Once practices officially start, we will push that you guys are there all the way through to the end of the season, at the end of October, beginning of November. Meets. So this has done a great job really getting involved in APS. They've put a lot of time and effort into it. Last year, for those of you guys who are out, they really enhanced the Grant Park meets. We got chip timing. We had all the hoopla of a good meet. Results came out more quickly. There were prizes. They did a really great job, and they've continued to put support into what we're doing. So that being, so I'm going to start with the meets at Grant Park. We will be doing 3 meets at Grant Park this year. We will be doing 2 Wednesday meets, one in August and one in September, end of August, early September. Our last Grant Park meet will be the to the Mayor's Double Dip. So we will be they're going to have a meet at Piedmont Park this year on a Wednesday, which we're really excited about. We've also thrown a couple of invitationals in here. Last year we did a run at the Rock. We really liked that one. We're going to be doing that one again. We're putting in the Wingfoot this year. Again, this is an Atlanta Track Club special that they put on. It's the biggest meet in the Southeast. It's a ton of fun to be at. We're really looking forward to that one. And then to give ourselves a little more of a championship feel as we get toward October, we will be doing the Fulton County Championships that we were in. Toward the end of our season, things have changed a little bit, as Coach Murray said. Our regional meet, we don't have a date for it yet, but it will not be at Boundary Waters. It'll be at Clinton Farms because of our change in regions. So that's going to be an update. And then states is still going to be in Carrollton. The only TBD that we really have on here is the mid to late August range. We are looking at a specialized meet specifically for returning varsity people that we know for sure are going to be on varsity. We want to give you guys an opportunity to run fast really early and get you really amped up for the season. So we're still looking into that. That's going to probably be a late add due to the COVID situation. So keep your eyes out for that. We'll keep you all updated. But for the most part, this schedule is pretty firm.
One thing I'll add, sorry.
My internet's all screwed
up. on September 26th, that's the Fulton County Championships. That is an SAT day. Just want to put that out to people. There is also an SAT that you can take on October 3rd. So that would be a better one to take. And then the city championships is this year. They want to do it on a Saturday. It makes total sense why they want to do it on a Saturday. They may move this though around because that 10-10 is our fall break, where students have off 2 days the following weekend. So that's just something to kind of let you guys know. At city championship, we would only have our top 7 runners for boys. And actually, no, they're going to have a JV division this year. So never
Oh, they are. I didn't hear that part. Yeah. That's good. Nice. Okay.
All right. And maybe I should have done this at the very beginning. So this is our contact information. If you want to be able to reach out to us, you can. The person talking right now, again, if you're brand new, I'm John Murray. I'm a teacher at Maynard Jackson. I teach 11th grade AP, U.S. History, and IB History. And that's my email, my phone number, in case you ever need me. You can reach out. And then we also have a Remind Remind is a great way for me to send out fast communication, which I will do. It also means that I don't have to get on my school email, which I really don't like doing over the summer. So I would highly recommend sign up for the Remind. If you've never signed up for Remind, you text the phone number 81010, and then in the body of the message, you'll put at MJHS XC2. You'll send that. And then anytime I have a message, you'll just receive a message. There is also an Instagram on Instagram that is run by the students, captains, random people. It's a good source of information. I just do want to put out there that it is not run by me. It is not run by John Murray. Okay. Yeah, but that's really all we have. I will be emailing out this video. I'm going to stop the recording now. If people have questions, you can feel free to ask them, and Jeff and I will